Hey guys, Wet Movie 1 back here again for another Blu-ray DVD update video for you guys today. It's been about 2 weeks or so since my last one. Got a big old stack of goodness here to talk to you guys about today. But before I get to the first one, please give this video a thumbs up if you guys like my videos. Also, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys been up to. If you're watching any cool new movies lately that you think I might like, let me know down below. But let's get on over to the first one over here from Scream Factory. Very excited to talk about this set here because I'm a big fan of this actor ever since I was a kid. And that is the Vincent Price Collection Volume 2 here on Blu-ray that features 7 of his classic horror films from the 50s and throughout the 70s and stuff like that. Like The Raven that also stars Boris Karloff and a young Jack Nicholson. The comedy of Terrors, The Tomb of Ligela, The Last Man on Earth, Dr.Phibes Rides Again, and The Return of the Fly and House on Haunted Hill, all in one Blu-ray pack together here. And I've just been a big fan of Vincent Price ever since I was a kid. When I used to go to my dad's house on every other weekend to visit him, he would have shown me old horror movies because I was too young at the time to watch like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. So my dad used to show me old, Universal monster movies and like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and Vincent Price movies back in the day, because on a lot of the movies in this set you get an intro by Vincent Price that was recorded years after the movie was made, like when he was doing these intros for television when the movies used to play on TV back in the day. They included them in this set here, and I thought that was just a really cool feature. And a lot of the movies here have like commentary tracks for like film experts and things. This is a lot of really cool special features on this set, and if you're a fan of Vincent Price, I highly recommend this one because I believe like House on Haunted Hill and some of these other movies used to be in the public domain. Because I remember seeing House on Haunted Hill in all these different multi-movie packs and like 99-cent stores and things. But now you get them on Blu-ray in a pristine picture and sound quality. You'll be very happy with this set if you're a fan of Vincent Price here. But that's the Vincent Price Collection Volume 2 here on Blu-ray. I can't recommend that one enough, guys. That's just absolutely killer right there. But next up over here is one of my favorite movies that came out last year, and I'm very happy to get this one right here. This is The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, the extended edition here on Blu-ray, also the 3D Blu-ray, which looks really cool in 3D. This is my favorite Hobbit movie of the 2 that came out. The first one was cool, but this one just like, takes the cake. You know what I mean? This one just gave me everything I was looking for, because in this movie, Bilbo Baggins and the dwarves are still going to their land to reclaim it from this, the dragon smaug that's taken over their castle and things like that, and it's their adventure along the way. And I can't wait until the third and final Hobbit movie comes out later on this year. It's just going to be killer, man. But on this Blu-ray here, you get the extended edition, which is 25 minutes longer than the theatrical one, which makes it like 189 minutes long, which is still cool because you get like a little bit added storyline and stuff like that. I'm not going to ruin what the extra 25 minutes is. You have to watch the movie to find out the new edition. But also, you get 2 bonus discs with the 2 new special features on here, which is like parentheses Volume 9 and 10, which you all got from the Lord of the Rings movies to the Hobbit movies, which are in-depth look at the making of Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug here. But the thing is, this one is 5 hours long of just straight up behind the scenes and Peter Jackson and everybody talking about the making of the film. And disc 2 is another 5 hours, so you get 10 hours of in-depth behind the scenes making of, from the production of the film all the way down to the scoring of the film, where Peter Jackson supervised the score of the movie after it was finished and completed. And I think that's really damn cool, like really in-depth look at the movie. And I always like that kind of stuff, because they did that for the first Hobbit movie and the other Lord of the Rings special features and things. I just think those are really, really, really cool. But that's The Hobbit here, Desolation of Smaug on Blu-ray, the extended edition.
Hey, I'm back again. I just have 2 things to talk about today, and as usual, it's to do with my love of TV, or serial TV, or whatever you want to call it. The first one I have, it's the third season of Two Broke Girls. I love this TV show. It is so funny, great characters, and this season they've added a couple more. One guy who is called the Day Waiter. Oh my God, I can't remember the actor's name, but he is too funny. Whoever you are, keep it up. It's hysterical. And then of course, you have your old standard characters. And now, of course, the two girls have turned the back room of the restaurant into their cupcake business. And she ends up going to the Manhattan School or Manhattan Baking Academy, something like that. And they've got a whole slew of great characters coming out of there for that storyline. Oh, you gotta watch it. Third season is hysterical. And the last one I have today is one of my favorite paranormal ones, Afterlife, starring Lesley Sharp and Andrew Lincoln. It's a British TV series. Oh my gosh, it is so good. It's the second season, and unfortunately, as I just found out, the last season. Nuts! It's great paranormal stories in here, and then the story theme, of course, that's running between the medium and the psychiatrist, teacher psychiatrist, keeps on. And I'm guessing by the way this particular season ended, they may have already known they weren't going on, but yet, me not knowing that, when I saw the last episode, I thought to myself, oh, wow, this opens up a whole new other thing, a whole another issue of possibilities. But I guess not. Really, I would watch this. It's one of two only, and if you like paranormal stuff, this is the TV series for you. All right, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
But next up over here from Twilight Time, also known as ScreenArchives.com, is the Blob here, the remake from 1988. The movie originally came out back in 1958, starring Steve McQueen, and then in 1988, Chuck Russell, the director, decided to remake it and revamp it for the new generation back in the 80s. And this is my favorite remake of all time when it comes to horror movies. You know what I mean? Like The Fly is a cool remake too with Jeff Goldblum and things. But this one right here is about this meteorite that crashes to Earth in this small town. But there's something in this meteorite, some gooey ooze that consumes and kills people. And when it kills someone, it gets bigger and bigger every time it kills. And it's pretty much just people in the small town trying to figure out how to take it out before it kills everybody in sight. But the cool thing is about this Blu-ray, guys, it has a new audio commentary track by Chuck Russell and two horror fans talking about the film. And there's also a new Q&A on here with Chuck Russell at Cinefamily, which is a movie theater out here in LA. And, talking to Chuck Russell, talking about the making of the film, which is really kind of cool because I wasn't expecting to have a cool special feature like that. And I gotta say, it's a definite upgrade. The picture quality is amazing. Like, the Blob looks really, really super gooey in this one, Well, that's the Blob here on Blu-ray. Make sure you guys go to ScreenArchives.com to pick yourself up a copy. It's limited to 5,000, so if you're a fan of the film, make sure you guys do so. Transfer is amazing on this one. But next up over here from Disney is a film I wasn't really sure about. I was kind of like wishy-washy about it, before I watched it, because I'm not really a big fan of, live-action remakes of old Disney movies that I really love, like Alice in Wonderland. They came out with, Johnny Depp and stuff. I really hated that movie. I was just like, oh my God, don't do this stuff anymore. But then they made the movie Maleficent here. This is the new Blu-ray DVD combo pack. And I was just like, okay, this better not be like the Johnny Depp thing. And I went into it and I was pleasantly surprised. It was a whole lot different. And if you guys don't know what Maleficent is a character that was in the original Sleeping Beauty movie that puts a spell on Princess Aurora to, if she pricks her finger, she'll die kind of thing. And this is the retelling of it, and you get to see the backstory of Maleficent and why she became so mean and why she wanted to put a spell on this little girl, this little baby, And it's just a whole cool new retelling of the Sleeping Beauty story, and I just really kind of fell in love with it. I thought it was super original. I thought Angelina Jolie as Maleficent was perfect casting choice in this movie. I used to watch Sleeping Beauty a lot as a kid, and like Cinderella and all those other Disney classics. But in this one, it brought everything back as I was watching it, like my whole childhood. I'm like, oh shit, I remember this. And I even have the 3 little fairies and everything in this one. It's just a really cool retelling of a classic Disney story, but done right, in my opinion. Except for like the last 5 minutes, kind of made me go, that's it? Kind of thing. But the whole rest of it, I was just all swept up into the story and things. I really liked it. I know the other movie critics and reviewers are like mixed on this movie, but I liked it. Okay, I can't say I hated it. I thought it was cool. But next up over here from Disney also is Planes, Fire and Rescue, also known as Planes 2. But in this one, Dusty the Crop Duster is just finished his race around the world, and now he wants to do more. He wants to compete more and, win more gold medals and things like that. And one day he's out flying around, and like a part in his plane breaks that can't be replaced, and he gets all kind of depressed and sad about it, and he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do with his life now. And then one night he's just flying around. He's kind of mad about what's happening until he crashes into something and causes this big fire, and that makes him go, you know what? Bing! I want to become a firefighter. So he joins this firefighting team, and with a new bevy of characters and things, and it starts his new life there. That's pretty much the basic synopsis of this movie. I thought it was okay. It's not the greatest animated movie of all time or anything like Toy Story or Beauty and the Beast or anything like that. But from what I remember, I believe the original Planes movie was originally supposed to come out to DVD and Blu-ray, not even get a theatrical release, but last minute they threw it in theaters, and I guess it made enough money to warrant a part 2. But I don't know what it is. These are good family fun, but they're not, I don't know, they're not up to par to like, the Pixar kind of stuff, like Toy Story and stuff. I know this is just Disney, but I don't know, it was cool, okay, but it's just not, it wasn't amazing in my opinion, Alright, next up from Universal is Beethoven and Treasure Tale here on Blu-ray. This is the 6th Beethoven movie in the franchise, and in this one it stars Jonathan Silverman, Jeffrey Combs, who you guys all know from the Reanimator movies. In this movie he plays the bad guy. And this movie, Beethoven's still making movies in Hollywood like he was in Part 5. Jonathan Silverman is his trainer now, and in this movie at the beginning of it, Beethoven is being told to do this big stunt for this movie, and he doesn't do it, and him and his trainer get fired from the movie and kind of kicked off the movie set, and they have to go back home to their regular normal lives again. But as they're driving home from Hollywood, their car breaks down in this small little village town, and they have to wait and stay at a bed and breakfast until their car gets fixed. But in the meantime, there's this little boy that's in this town that's like a treasure hunter. He knows there's like this legend that there's buried treasure in their little town, and he's always on the hunt for it. And Beethoven becomes his friend, and both of them go on this adventure trying to find the buried treasure and stuff like that. That's basically the synopsis of the film, and Jeffrey Combs is the bad guy trying to get the treasure before the little boy and the dog can get it. It's like a little kiddie adventure, but I always kind of enjoy these things. It's definitely not as cool as the first 2 Beethoven movies starring Charles Grodin. Those are my absolute favorite ones of all time. But this one, it's okay. It's not the worst one of the franchise by far, but it's just kind of, a piece of fluff. Like one of those movies you watch and, you kind of sort of forget like 5 minutes later kind of thing. Like kids will have, a good time with it. I thought it was just decent. But next up over here from Sony is a movie I kind of sort of wanted to see because the premise of it sounded really kind of funny. And I'm like, okay, I want to see this. But all the critics and stuff that I know were like bashing it and giving it all this crap. And that is Sex Tape here on Blu-ray, starring Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz. And in this film, they play a couple that their sex lives have kind of gone nowhere in years. They have kids and they don't really have time to spend with one another and things like that. And so one day they decide to make a sex tape with one another. And when they do, it gets sent to all their friends. And it's them trying to pretty much go around to all their friends and try to delete it off their little iPads and computers and things before they actually see their like 5-hour long or whatever it is sex tape. And I thought this movie had a couple of funny moments in it. Like I wasn't watching it going, God, I gotta turn this off, this sucks, or anything like that. But it's also not the best comedy I've ever seen either. You know what I mean? I was watching it going, this premise is cool, but they could have done so much more with it. I was really kind of sort of disappointed in it. I like Jason Segel. I think he's absolutely funny. I've been a fan of his since Freaks and Geeks. But Cameron Diaz, to me, she hasn't really been funny at all since like, Something About Mary or The Mask and stuff like that. Well, The Mask wasn't really funny, but like Something About Mary days. This one really is kind of forgettable. And on here you get bloopers, deleted scenes, and stuff like that. The bloopers were actually kind of funny, to be honest with you. But it was just kind of sort of disappointing. One of those ones you know, people should just rent first before you buy. Don't go out there and buy it. Go out there and rent it first and see if you like it, because this one is just kind of on the fence with me. There really was some funny stuff in there. Jack Black pops in there for a cameo, which I thought was funny. But that's Sex Tape here on Blu-ray, and that is Step Up All In here. This is like, what, the fifth film in the franchise, and this one is about this guy that's head of this dance team, and they go to this audition to try to, you know, to make it, and they don't get into the audition. They kind of get, you know, shooed away, and their team's starting to break up because they haven't had any success being a successful dance crew in Los Angeles. So the leader, Sean, decides to go to this, you know, battle, this whole, like, contest thing. I forgot what it was called, but it takes place in Las Vegas. And he decides to get the whole different crew together since his other crew left him in Los Angeles. And the crew members that he gets are all the cool people that we all know and love from all the previous films. And I thought that was kind of a nice little touch when it comes to this movie. But you don't really watch these movies for the amazing storyline. You watch it for the cool dance moves and, you know, the popping and locking and all that kind of stuff. But this one is definitely not the worst one in the franchise or anything like that. I didn't really like Step Up Revolution, the last one. I gotta say Step Up 3. That was my favorite one because that's my favorite little dance sequence in there with the character of Moose, who's actually in this one also, when he's like dancing down the street, kind of like old school style, like Dick Van Dyke style. I thought that was awesome. But on this Blu-ray here, you get, like, you know, a making of, and, you know, the generic kind of special features that you get on you know, movies these days. But that's Step Up All In on Blu-ray. It looks fantastic, sounds fantastic, great dance moves, weak storyline, but still, for me, a fun watch. And next up over here is probably the coolest movie, the best movie I watched in this whole update, and that is Begin Again here on Blu-ray, starring Mark Ruffalo. And in this movie, Mark Ruffalo plays this record producer that started this record label a long time ago. Now he's kind of washed up. He hasn't signed anybody in like years. He's kind of a drunk. He doesn't even know what he's really doing anymore. His label's kind of good. You know, his label's firing him, kind of like shooing him out the door, until he comes across this one lady, Keira Knightley, in this nightclub that's performing for free, and he's like, this lady's gonna be the next superstar, and it's pretty much him trying to get her to sign with him so he can have a name again in the business, and it's just a back and forth between the two. And then I thought it was a very strong, very charming movie, very well acted by Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley and everybody that's involved in there. Even CeeLo Green has a little part in this movie. I thought this movie was just wonderful. It kind of has that same feeling that I got when I watched the movie Once, that came out years ago. It has that kind of same sort of vibe to it a little bit, but of course, you know, better production values and stuff like that. But it was just a very lovely, sweet film, and if you guys love music, definitely check out this movie. It was actually really cool. Alright guys, next up from Anchor Bay is The One I Love here on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't really get into this one. An hour into it, I was just kind of like, oh, I almost had enough of it. It's pretty much about this couple going on a retreat to this, you know, vacation home to try to rekindle their relationship. And when they get there, they witness some weird occurrences there. I can't explain it without ruining it for you. And it's just them, you know, just trying to figure out what they're going to do. And to me, it was just kind of, I don't know, it just got really kind of boring to me. Like I said, like halfway into it. I can't recommend this one, guys. The acting is fine. The way it was shot was fine. But it's just one of those artsy-fartsy kind of movies. I was just kind of like, huh? What's going on? Maybe it's like I wasn't mentally prepared for it the night I watched it or something. But I'll probably give it a second chance down the road. But that's The One I Love here on Blu-ray. Yeah. Alright guys, and next up is a really cool science fiction film I knew nothing about when I got it. And when I watched it, I was like, holy shit, this movie is awesome. And that is Snowpiercer here on Blu-ray, starring Chris Evans, Octavia Spencer, and Jamie Bell. This movie takes place like a handful of years in the future. It's in a post-apocalyptic world. The whole world is like frozen over, and almost everybody on Earth is dead, for the exception of these people that boarded this train called the Snowpiercer that travels around the world non-stop. Because if it stops, everyone on that train is gonna die. And there's different class sections in the train, like the rich people are up in front that are eating steaks and, you know, living the good life, and then there's the people at the very end of the train that are like, you know, living in squalor, like living in dirt, trying to stay alive any way they know how, until they revolt and say, you know what, we're gonna form this plan. We're gonna try to take the train over and get to the front of this train and see what's up there, because they've been living in really bad conditions for like 17, 18 years, and they just had enough. And it's them trying to take over this train car by car by car, and the best way they know how. And I thought this movie was killer, man. Very original, probably the most original movie I've seen in the last couple of months. I mean, Chris Evans has a great performance in here, along with Octavia Spencer, who you guys all know from The Help and things. But it's just a very stylistic, well acted. Everything about this movie was just superb. I mean, because I watched this one pretty much right after I watched The One I Love, and I was just like, The One I Love, I'm so bored. Like, I felt like I was going to fall asleep in that one. And then I put this one on, and I was wide awake and just all excited about it. But that's Snowpiercer here on Blu-ray. And this next one I was really interested in checking out. It's from Lionsgate, because I've been a big fan of this show ever since I was a kid and everything. And this is the unauthorized story of Saved by the Bell. And this is one of those ones that was just on TV like a couple of months ago, and it tells you like the behind-the-scenes story of the making of the show and what the kids went through, making this the Saved by the Bell show. And it's all through the eyes of Dustin Diamond, the character of the guy that played Screech in Saved by the Bell. So like, I'm not really 100% sure if everything in this thing was accurate or not. I'm sure it wasn't. But there's just a couple of they did touch on Good Morning Miss Bliss, the very first Saved by the Bell show that got canceled after the first season, and then they talk a little bit about the college years at the end, but they don't talk about like the wedding in Las Vegas. What's it called? Saved by the Bell, the new class or whatever. They don't get into that. They only talk about pretty much the basic Saved by the Bell core shows, seasons 1 through 5 on here, and how Dustin Diamond was always thought he was being mistreated, and not he didn't want to be portrayed as a nerd his whole life, and you know what I mean, because every time everyone looked at him, they always thought Screech, and I'm sure that's what people think of him now. But I don't know. I would really like to know what the original cast, like Mr. Belding and all exact, Mark Paul Gosselaar, what they think about this thing, if it's, any kind of, true, if it's true or not. But that's the unauthorized story of Saved by the Bell. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it for what it was, because I'm so nostalgic for the show. I was just really into it. But it's not a great movie whatsoever. It was made for TV and stuff, so it's kind of cheap and everything like that. And I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I did get some sort of enjoyment out of this. But that's the unauthorized story of Saved by the Bell. Alright guys, next up is See No Evil 2 here on Blu-ray, starring Catherine Isabelle and Danielle Harris and Kane from the WWE. This movie takes place right after the last movie ended, when all the dead bodies and corpses that Jacob Goodnight, aka Kane, has killed in the first movie, coming into this one hospital, to the morgue, where Danielle Harris works, and it's her birthday. She wants to go out and party for her birthday, but yet all these bodies are coming in, so she decides to stay and work on her birthday to help out her boss. But come to find out that Jacob Goodnight, the guy that was doing all the killing, his body is coming into the morgue also. But at the same time, all of Danielle Harris's friends are surprising her with a surprise birthday party at her job. So she goes upstairs to party down, with her friends, and come to find out that Jacob Goodnight is not really dead. He got up from that slab, and he's starting to kill people off one by one. And that's pretty much the basic synopsis of the movie. I always liked Danielle Harris from the Halloween movies and Daylight and Wish Upon a Star and stuff like that. I always thought she was always cool. Catherine Isabelle, to me, kind of felt like she was phoning it in this movie. Like, she didn't really look like she really cared about what she was doing. But the kills, there's some really decent kills in this movie. But all in all, guys, it is kind of a generic kind of, slasher flick. You see everything coming, this is gonna be a jump scare. Okay, now the person's gonna die, kind of thing. Like, what's gonna happen before it happens. Especially if you watched a lot of horror movies like I have over the years and decades or what have you. But that's See No Evil 2. It's okay. It's just not great. But next up over here, starring Jason Patric, Bruce Willis, and John Cusack, is the Prince here on DVD and Blu-ray, or actually the Blu-ray digital copy combo pack. Sorry. And it's pretty much about Jason Patric's character. he's a mechanic now. He's a mechanic, and he has this daughter that's off at college, and every once in a while he video chats with her, you know, to see how she's doing, checking up on her and things. Until one day he calls her to video chat, and this one guy answers the phone, and he's like, "Oh, this ain't my phone. I stole it," you know, kind of thing. And he gets really kind of, you know, nervous about that, and decides to take a plane and go on down to visit his daughter to find out what's happened to her, and try to find her. And come to find out, Jason Patric's character, the father, has his dark past, and it's about to catch up with him as he's out there trying to find his daughter. And you know, I gotta say, it started off very well. Then it just kind of, you know, you saw everything coming towards the end. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of know how everything is all gonna, you know, come about when you're watching it, kind of thing. But it's a decent one-time watch kind of movie. Alright guys, and next up is Life of Crime here on Blu-ray, starring Jennifer Aniston and Tim Robbins and a bevy of other people. In this movie, Jennifer Aniston plays this pampered housewife. She pretty much has everything she wants, whenever she wants it, kind of thing. But she's kind of on the outs with her husband. She kind of knows her husband's cheating on her and all this craziness that's going on. And she doesn't, you know, she's only kind of staying with him because of her son. But in the meantime, these two people come into her house, kidnap her, and try to extort, you know, $1 million from her husband. But come to find out, her husband already has a mistress and was planning to divorce his wife, you know, really soon. And he doesn't really seem to care about, you know, giving these guys $1 million or she's gonna die, kind of thing. And she's stuck right in the middle between these people trying to get money from her husband, and her husband not really caring, and her just right there in the middle. And it's just her trying to deal with what's really going on. I thought it was just kind of generic, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't really have any suspense to it or anything like that. It kind of, I think it might have went to theaters, but to me it kind of felt like a straight to DVD kind of title, but with good actors in it, if you know what I'm trying to say. But that's Life of Crime here. It has deleted scenes, behind the scenes, featurette, and their commentary by some of the cast members. I mean, there's some fun moments in the movie, but it's just kind of really forgettable, you know, when you come down to it. But that's Life of Crime here on Blu-ray. And next up over here from E1 is a TV show I really wanted to see since I knew it was being made, because I'm a big fan of the original movie, and that is From Dusk Till Dawn Season 1 here on Blu-ray. This is a show that was you know, written and pretty much directed by Robert Rodriguez for his El Rey network that he has, and it's pretty much based on the Greco brothers, just like the first movie was, and it kind of follows the same kind of plot as the first movie. Like the first episode deals with the Gecko brothers going into this convenience store and holding it up and doing all that crazy stuff, just like the beginning of From Dusk Till Dawn, and it keeps going on from there. And there's this cop that's on their tail as they're, you know, moving on from episode to episode. I thought it was very, very decent. I'm halfway through the series, halfway through season 1 right now, and I'm really kind of enjoying it. I like the dialogue, but it's still not as cool as the movie. You know what I mean? It still doesn't have that oomph as the movie has. You know, it just kind of feels like they're saying, it sort of feels like the rehash of the first movie, just stretched out into a season of a show kind of thing. Has a lot of special features like commentary tracks, you know, making ofs, interviews, a bunch of cool stuff. But if you guys are into the Dusk Till Dawn movies, you guys might get a kick out of the TV show here. But next up over here from Millennium Entertainment is a movie starring James Franco and Kate Hudson, and it's called Good People here on Blu-ray. It's about this young couple. They're really in love with one another, but yet they're really struggling. They don't have a lot of money. They kind of want to have a baby and, you know, like start a whole new life with one another. And they even rent this one room out to this one guy downstairs until the guy dies. The guy passes away downstairs, and they're cleaning up the mess down there, and they find this big bag full of like $1 million or whatever it is downstairs, and like, oh my God, our life, you know, our life is gonna change now. We can actually pay our bills, and you can have a baby now, and like, you know, our life's gonna be great. But come to find out, when you find a big bag of money, you know there's always gonna be somebody after it. It's not an amazing movie, but I did think, you know, it did come off okay. You know what I mean? For a straight to DVD kind of title, I thought it was decent. You know what I mean? It's not bad whatsoever. Kind of a generic story, but still fun and nonetheless. Alright guys, and next up is The Taking of Deborah Logan here on DVD. This movie is pretty simple. It's about these documentary filmmakers that want to document this one lady that has Alzheimer's and like just, talk to her and see the progression of what actually happens when it gets worse and worse, kind of thing. And they're videotaping her in her home. It's shot found footage style, but when they're doing it, they start to see creepy things happen, and they start thinking, this might not just be Alzheimer's that's going on here. You know what I mean? And creepier things start happening, like Paranormal Activity style kind of stuff. But the lady that plays Deborah Logan is just super creepy, super good in this movie. She's the one that kind of held this movie together, in my opinion. Her performance and just the way she looks in this whole movie was just really creepy. Look at the back of this right here. You know what I mean? They even have some really cool effects that happen towards the end of this movie that I thought were kind of cool. So if you see it out there, Redbox it for $1 or your local video store. If you're into paranormal-ish, style shot kind of movies, you guys will probably dig this one. I thought it was fun. And next up over here is The Scribbler here on Blu-ray. It's about this young girl named Suki. She suffers from multiple personality disorder, and her doctor hooks her up to this machine every once in a while to try to, kind of like shock treatment to try to get rid of her different multiple personalities that she has. But yet she's worried if she gets rid of them all, she might get rid of her actual self, kind of thing. And sometime in the movie, her doctor sends her to this halfway house for other crazy people, and she kind of goes there and sees all these other crazy people and tries to kind of find herself and figure out what's really wrong with her. But it's done in like a really stylistic kind of way. The way it was shot and filmed and everything was very wonderful. But the movie was just kind of boring, kind of blech. You know what I mean? It looked cool. It looked like it was gonna be a really cool kind of science fiction-y kind of movie. But then it just really got kind of lame and boring, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The look of the film's cool and the acting was fine. It just kind of didn't go anywhere for me. You know what I mean? I was watching it going, come on, let something happen that's cool. But, that's just a Scribbler here on Blu-ray. I can't really recommend it. I really did try to get into this one, but I just couldn't. I'm sorry, I couldn't get into this one. But next up over here from Image Entertainment is this a little collection of episodes of a show I used to love watching when I was a kid. And it's Garfield's Holiday Classics here, or Holiday Collection here on DVD. It has Garfield's Christmas, or Garfield's Halloween Adventure, and Garfield's Thanksgiving, Garfield on the Town, and two of them were nominated for Emmy Awards. And I always liked the Garfield, the character and stuff like that, and especially Garfield and Friends, the TV show that was on back in the day. I used to watch that one like crazy. There's a really cool DVD extra on here where, what's his name again? Jim Davies, the creator of Garfield and the comic strip back in the day, gives you a tour of the studio where he still writes the comic strip and has the Garfield shrine and things like that. He just walks you through the studio. I think that was a really cool special feature that was on this disc that I don't know. I thought it was nice just to see who the guy is and how much he actually loves the character of Garfield. But that's the Garfield Holiday Collection here. But last up on this update today is Play Hooky here from Wild Eye Releasing. It's about these young girls playing hooky from school, hanging out with these older guys to go get drunk and party and get crazy. But they have to try to find a place to go first, and they find this abandoned building and they go into this place, and when they get there, some crazy stuff starts happening, found footage style. I thought it was kind of interesting, kind of a cool, quirky take on a found footage film. It wasn't bad whatsoever, but it was actually kind of inventive. But that's Play Hooky here on DVD. I thought it was pretty decent for what it is. Alright guys, that's all I have to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much for coming by and watching the new Blu-ray DVD update video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.